Good morning. Today is the 24th of June 2024 and I'm going to go through my plan for today, my watch list. As always, before we start, let's just quickly look at the news to see what could move the market today. I don't believe there's no news. Okay, maybe we won't view the news. Nothing strange. I've been having a few things with TradingView the last couple of weeks. Things have been a bit slow, so maybe their desktop program's not working too well. Let's see if I can log in to the web browser. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so I'm logged into, let's go back to ES, and then is this any quicker? No. Okay, looks like there's an issue with TradingView at the moment, not showing economic news, so we'll skip that, and if it comes back to live we'll look at it before the end of today. It's good to know when there will be news, just in case you're in a trade and there's a big market movement. Okay, so let's go straight to levels. We're looking at the ES, and we're currently on the 1 hour time frame, and we've got a few levels from last week in play still, plus a new one I've just added. So let's open up my pen. Okay, so we're looking at 2 potential areas at the moment, and the one area is the pre-market high, which is also the Friday high, breaking retest area. If we get above it and we're closing above this 50 moving average, and that's at 55.50 area, 55.45. I'm looking for a retest in this region for the next move up. You could say we're putting in a bit of an inverse pattern here, left shoulder. Maybe this is more the left shoulder, the head, right shoulder, or you could say this is the head, right shoulder. And we've broken above that previous pivot. We couldn't quite break over Friday's high. That's the only thing that's holding this up right now for the break and retest. So we need to break above it, close above it, come back into this region for the retest. So that's an area I'm watching, 55.45 to 55.50 area. The next area I'm watching for a bounce, and that's at pre-market low and yesterday's or Friday's low. It's funny how both the pre-markets and Friday's highs and lows are in the same location, so it gives it a bit extra strength. So I'm watching for a bounce, 55.25. Although we've bounced once in the pre-market, we were relatively far away from the 200 moving average, but we're getting quite close to it there. So that area is an area I'm watching for a bounce, 55.25. And that's basically the real areas I'm watching. I don't want to play anything in between these areas. But I do want to take a trend entry, and that'll be a breaking above this region. However, if we do lose the pre-market low area, there is a short we can watch, and we really need a close. Let's get my pen. We do really need a close below this purple line, which is a 200 moving average. So if we can break down, come back up, retest this region. Again, 55.25 area, we can watch for the rejection. We've got a little bit of a void there, so maybe there won't be much to stop us, but there is a volume shelf on the next level down which we can watch for a bounce. That was in play from Friday, and that's 55.50 down to 55.54.92 area. So that's the area to watch for a bounce, or we can watch for the break and retest short at 55.25. Not sure we get down any further, but we do have these tops of pivots at this region here to watch for a bounce as well, and that's down at 54.62 area. So that's the region I'll be watching for a bounce. Okay, moving on to SPY. 1 second. Looking at SPY next, we've got this area confluence, which was Friday's low on Friday. What's that? That was on Friday's pre-market. So we can still watch this area for a bounce again. What was it like on ES? Was it a bigger area confluence like that? Let's go back. No, not really. Suppose, yeah, it's a similar area, so we can watch all the way down to 55.20. But I quite like the bounce at pre-market low, because if it does get down to pre-market low, it'll be holding the 200 moving average. My SPY is a little bit different. 200 is further down, so I still quite like 543 area, 543.30 area, 38 to 40 for the bounce, and then the break and retest over pre-market high at 546. And obviously all-time highs, hard to play those areas, got a bit of a volume spike around, coming into around 548.50, 548. So we can watch a potential rejection of that area, but keeping the stop really tight at all-time highs. And then the next bounce area on the hourly, I can see if we lose this area, we've got this potential area here where we broke out from this bit of a bear flag. So we can watch 540 really, and we've got a few touches of that area, so we watch that for a bounce, and we've got the 200 moving average in that area as well. And then we've got the point of control coming all the way down here, so at 533, 534 area for the bounce. They're the areas I'm really watching, keeping it really simple. Okay, SPX next. Let's get rid of some of these drawings because it's just too much. One area I'm watching is always marked up with an alert, 5400 for the bounce and 5500 for the rejection. So these are the only two areas I'm watching. Really, nothing in between. There's the same area of confluence if we break Friday's low, and that's at 540, 54, 56 area. But we are coming into the 50 moving average, so potentially we can watch it bounce in that area. So that is another area to watch. Or if we break and hold below this 50 moving average, which is the red line, watch it for the retest for the short. And that's it. NQ. This is the Nasdaq. Okay, so we've lost an area was watching for a bounce. It's bounced successfully in the pre-market or the post-market. It bounced a few times last week as well, but this is an area we've been watching based on this confluence here. Tops of candles, bottoms of candles, quite a few touches there. A few more touches here, so it's quite a strong area. And you know, how many times does it need to be knocking at the door? Knock, 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 breakthrough. So it's higher risk because we're quite close at the moment, but the break and retest of this region. So maybe watch for a rejection at 19,945, but it's quite high risk. But we are below the 200 on Nasdaq now, and we're below all the moving averages. So that is in our favour, but we need to see it break and come back into that area and put in a reversal. And then possible targets. You know, being in all-time highs area, there's no real levels until a long way down. So next target could be where we've got this alert, and that will be at 19,772 for the bounce, and that's basically a few pivots there, a few touches. And is there anything closer? Technically, we could watch this area for a bounce where we are now in the pre-market low. So there's not much volume on the left hand side on the profile tool. Most of the volume is above, which is why I'm not too fussed about it. Bottom of that pivot. No, I'm sticking with that. I think a break and retest short purely because of the lack of volume to the left, and then we can watch for a bounce or target around this region here at 19,800 down to 1970.77. Okay, QQQ's next. You know, we could see a little minor bounce there, so keep an eye on that. QQQ's looks a bit different. Again, let's get rid of all these drawings just to make it a bit easier to read. We had this lovely bounce off previous all-time highs. That pivot there came in, we held it, come down, we held it again. So we can watch 8. Oh, this is not QQ, this is CL, I've gone too far. I thought it didn't look right. This looks better. QQQs, again, we get rid of all the drawings. We'll go back to CL in a second, because I can see a good play there. We're right at a bounce area confluence right now. So probably why I hesitate with NQ a little bit in that similar area. If we lose this area, we've still got volume all the way down into this bit, and the only area I can see for another bounce will be that area. So 475 roughly. It's a region, don't forget, not a line. And then got a void below, the lack of volume, and then all the way back down at 468. Where's that coming from? No, it won't get rid of that alert. Must have been there because we had that must have been an all-time high break from before. We got this area here as well to watch for a bounce, and that's really the only two areas. There's not much really on QQQ. It's a bit like NASDAQ. Let's mark the top as well. And these are the areas we're watching for. We really got to I think the break and retest of this Friday's low. So if it comes back up into Friday's low, we can look for a short. If it breaks above Friday's high, not pre-market, we can look for a long. And then crude oil next. I quite like the bounce at this region we just talked about. 80.27 down to 80 this region. And if we break above pre-market high, we've got a pivot up here, so we watch for a long with Friday's high as a target, and then maybe watch out for the breakout. One thing we could be looking at, we have broken this pivot, and that was on watch for a bit. We broke through, came back, retested it. So this is a significant area, but we could also be looking at a left shoulder, a head, and maybe a right shoulder. So if we don't bounce off that level, we can look for a break and retest short. First target will be that 200 moving average, and then we've got this region here, quite a lot of volume to the left over here. So we can see a big bounce zone around this 77.50 to 78.50. But the long, it will be the stronger move as we've broken this pivot. We come back and retested it, so I quite like the break and retest of pre-market high on oil. And that level was at 81, I believe. Okay, gold. Big sell-off on Friday. Taken out the last few days. But we came back into this area where we've kind of consolidated and bounced a few times. So I quite like the bounce back down at Friday's low. And I like the break and retest over pre-market high. Friday's high can be a target if we're long, because we've got the 50 moving average just above. But that's it. I'm not a big fan of this one. It looks hard to say it's bearish because we've held this bottom. If we break this bottom, then we can look for some more shorts. But I think while we're above the 50 moving average, or while we break below it. But if we're above the 200 at least, then we should be looking for longs to go with the trend. Let's just draw the trend line in. So that was the previous trend, which we broke through but came back. So we can watch this trend line. That's why I quite like the break and retest of the Friday's high, because it's above this trend line. We can see it retest and push up. Target can be this region. We've got the point of control right above as well, so it'll be hard. We broke through it quite easily on Friday, but it may be hard to get back through that area again. So we could be watching this area for rejection as well. Okay, let's move on to RTY, which is the E-mini Russells, or the Russell 2000 index. It's 23, do some weird things. These are old drawings. Maybe I have to save it every time, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm looking at an inverse head and shoulders pattern here. Not a great one because we had this big spike. That's the left shoulder, that's the head. This is the right shoulder. You can see the neckline around 2060. We can watch for the break and retest of pre-market high. However, we are going into these pivots at the top. The neckline's better when they're all similar heights. So it will be quite hard to break through these pivots. So if we are looking for a long, keep an eye on 2060 to take some profit, or to keep the top stop tight. Then rejection area, we've got a point of control around 2090, so this region here for rejection. not my favourite chart at the moment. I think if we can break above that pivot 2060, then we could see a bit of a change of trend. We're in a bit of a downtrend there at the moment. And then this is the YM, which is the Dow Jones. Okay, so unlike RTY, we've broken this pivot, which we talked about. That pivot there, we broke above it, came back down, broke above it, came back down, broke above it. We'll see what we're doing because we're kind of putting in this pattern, maybe a bit like that. So let's just see if we've got a level. Yeah, I think if we're holding this 50 moving average, so maybe we can look for a bounce around that region. We've got Friday's low, pre-market low there as well, and maybe we can watch for the break and retest over the pre-market high as well. So watch for a bounce in this region, or watch for a break and retest. And then if we lose this region, that means we're closing below the 50, and we've got increase in volume coming into 39, 250. So watch for a potential reversal around that point. So we can watch that as well. So 39, 250 to 39.50, so 39.350 for the bounce. Big area. And then let's just quickly look at Bitcoin, and we'll just go over some order flow. Oh wow, look at that. It's literally fallen out of the window. So we were watching this region. This is the level we had marked up for potential bounce, which maybe haven't really bounced. Tried to, but we're definitely looking weaker at the moment. So there's a big region, this area, so we can watch this area for about 60,000 down to 61,000. What happened at 64? Because we said that area we could watch for a bounce. It did bounce there, and that was based on some previous pivots, and then it finally broke through 64, came back up, retested 66, kept this trend line. We couldn't quite get to the top of this trend line before it died, so that's looking weak at the moment. So potential areas we can watch. Let's go to the daily, because I prefer the daily on Bitcoin. So these red lines are areas where I was holding Bitcoin. I got in down here. In fact, I got in on this curve as I started averaging in on this curve. My average price was down here, and the red lines were where I took profit, and I used volume price analysis to take profit. So this first exit around about there, I think it might have been this big pullback actually, was because of this volume. And then because I saw the volume, could have been ending volume, and as soon as it broke this level I got out. I think my out was there. The next level, ignore that, that's the point of control, would have been this one here, and that was on this level here. I think it pushed up, and then we saw a day where it sold off. It might have been this one here actually, the hammer candle, which is a sign of weakness. When you see a hammer candle and volume at the end of a trend, you could expect to turn around, and we saw two hammer candles there. And that's exactly what happened. It turned around, and then my next out, I should have put the dates in. I think it was back up here again. I think I waited, got back out, and I'm still holding some, only about 10%, and that's in case we saw a big run up, and I won't have FOMO because I'm holding a little bit, but I took the majority out. And again, using volume price analysis to take out. Where was that area there? Not, and that's just analysing the chart. So let's find a potential bounce. We're right in a bounce area right now. So Bitcoin is. If we lose this area, then we've got the 200 moving average and this low next. There's not much volume down there, so potentially once we lose this area, we've got this void below the volume. We don't get any volume until we get back down to 40,000 to 42,000. There's a little bit of volume here, hence why I've got my level at 53. So we can watch 53,060 to repurchase some more Bitcoin, or if you're short, then to get out. and I think there's not much. I'm just looking at the volume to the left. So you know we have to hold this area. This is the area we're on watch now. This area here is on watch, and if we lose that area, then we haven't got another big area until we get back down into this region. A little bit there, but mainly around here for a bounce. Okay, let's quickly go to ES, see if there's anything moved in the last few minutes. I know we sold off for a bit, come back down into an area or close to the area we was watching. Once it loads, let's just analyse the daily quickly as well. So we've got this potential indecision candle there. We had a small range candle there, but on above average volume, so a bit of an anomaly. Then we had another red candle, almost a hammer candle. Again, we just talked about that as a sign of weakness. The reason it's a sign of weakness because at one point that would have been a green candle, a full red candle, and then we had a bit of buyers come back again. And another, we could just be eating time for clock for wait for the moving averages to catch up because we are quite extended. We've caught up now with the 20 and with the 8, quite far away from the 20, very far away from the 50, and far away from the 200. And obviously we've got a bit of decline in volume as well up here in this region. Decline in volume, decline in price. So it could be just a bit of a pullback. But let's go back to the hourly and then look at some order flow. We've got about 8 minutes left. So that's the area we're watching, 55.25 for the bounce. Right on this 200 moving average, we've got close to it. Let's flick over to order flow to see whether there's anything. And yeah, so just trade safe. I'll just quickly recap the levels again. On ES, we're watching for a bounce down in this region, and that's around 55.25, 55.20. Looking for a break and retest over the pre-market high, although we do have a pivot and a bit of confluence from what we were looking at last week, so maybe we could use that as a target or an add. And then we've got a rejection area, high risk rejection, because it's no other levels, there's no volume as well, but it's all-time highs, so keep a tight stop. And then if we do lose this area today, we've got break, pull back and try and ensure this purple 200 moving average is above us, above the price. Then we're looking to look for a short to fill this void in. We've got a bit of a void here. So kind of two levels for this area, or a break and retest of pre-market high. That's it. Okay, thank you for watching. Trade safe and see you tomorrow.